I never imagined that one sentence would destroy my 6-year marriage. It was Friday evening, and I was finishing dinner alone for the third time that week. Derek's plate sat untouched across from me, getting cold while he worked late. Again, my phone buzzed. Lily's name flashed across the screen. Maya, please tell me you're coming to my birthday sleepover tomorrow night. It's been ages since all of us got together. I smiled at the thought. Our college friends, wine, laughter, everything I'd been missing. I'd love to. Let me just check with Derek. When he finally walked through the door at 9, I brought it up casually. Lily invited me to her birthday thing tomorrow. It's a sleepover with the girls. Derek didn't even look up from his phone. No, just like that. No explanation, no discussion. Something inside me snapped. 6 years of being the perfect wife, cooking his meals, supporting every career move, postponing my own dreams, and he couldn't even look at me when he dismissed what I wanted. Let me go or I'm walking out, I said, my voice shaking. The words hung between us like broken glass. I expected him to apologize, to negotiate, to at least argue. Instead, Derek slowly lifted his eyes from his phone. Something cold flickered across his face. Fine, he said too calmly. Your bags are by the door. My heart stopped. What bags? I walked to the entryway on trembling legs. 2 suitcases, my suitcases sat there, neatly packed and waiting. My hands shook as I unzipped one. My clothes. My toiletries. Even my favorite books. This wasn't packed in anger just now. This was planned. Derek, what is this? My voice cracked. He appeared in the doorway. Arms crossed. You wanted to leave, Maya, so leave. The man I'd loved for nearly a decade was looking at me like I was a stranger. I stood frozen in our apartment, no, his apartment now, apparently. Derek, I just wanted one night with my friends. Why are you acting like this? He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he pulled out his phone, tapped something, and handed it to me. Because I'm tired of pretending, he said flatly. The screen showed text messages between him and someone named V. I scrolled through 8 months of conversations. Declarations of love. Plans for a future together. Complaints about the wife who won't let go. The wife. Me. Who is V? I demanded, though part of me already knew. Vanessa. From work. She understands me in ways you never could. Each word was a knife sliding between my ribs. I thought back to all the late nights, the business trips, the distance I'd blamed on work stress. Lily had warned me 3 months ago that something seemed off. But I'd defended him. I'd actually defended this man. How long? I whispered. Does it matter? Derek's voice was ice. What matters is that you just gave me the perfect out. You threatened to leave. I'm just honoring your word. This wasn't the man I married. Or maybe it was, and I'd been too blind to see it. His mother Carol's words echoed in my mind, all those subtle comments about me not being traditional enough for her son. Now I wondered if she knew. If everyone knew except me. I don't remember calling Lily or getting into the Uber. The next clear memory is collapsing on her couch, my body shaking with sobs I couldn't control. Maya, breathe. Just breathe, Lily said. Her arms wrapped around me. Her husband James hovered nearby, concern etched on his face. Between gasps, I told them everything, the ultimatum, the pre-packed bags, the messages with Vanessa. That calculating bastard, Lily hissed. He was waiting for you to give him an excuse. James, always practical, was already thinking ahead. Maya, did you take photos of those texts? Do you have any evidence? I shook my head, feeling stupid. I'd been too shocked to think clearly. We need to get you a good attorney, James said gently. The thought hadn't even occurred to me. Our joint accounts, the apartment, my freelance income that I'd funneled into our savings, suddenly everything felt precarious. That night, while Lily made tea and James made phone calls, I sat in their guest room staring at my wedding photo. We looked so happy. I looked so naive. My phone buzzed with a text from Derek. I'll have the divorce papers ready by Monday. Sign them without drama and I'll be fair about assets. Fair? After what he'd done? But the old Maya actually considered it. Just sign, avoid conflict, move on. Then Lily knocked and entered with chamomile tea and a fierce expression. Whatever you're thinking, stop. Don't you dare make this easy for him. By Monday morning, I wasn't broken anymore. I was furious. James connected me with Sophie Martinez, a therapist specializing in betrayal trauma, and Tom Wilson, a private investigator who looked like someone's grandfather but had a reputation for exposing cheating spouses. Tell me everything, Tom said, notepad ready. As I recounted the timeline, he nodded. The pre-packed bags, The quick pivot to divorce classic exit affair. He's been planning this for months, possibly with legal advice. How long had Derek been consulting lawyers while sleeping next to me? I need to know everything, I told Tom. How long, if there are others? What he's been doing with our money? Everything. Meanwhile, Sophie helped me process the emotional whiplash. You're grieving two losses, she explained. The marriage you had and the marriage you thought you had. The second loss is often harder. She was right. I kept replaying moments, anniversaries. The time he held me when my father died, wondering which were real and which were performances. At work, my coworker Rachel noticed my distraction. Maya, are you okay? You've been staring at that design for 20 minutes. I broke down and told her everything. Rachel's response shocked me. Oh, honey. I saw Derek at Morelli's restaurant 2 months ago with a young blonde woman. They were very affectionate. I almost said something, but I thought maybe it was work-related. My stomach dropped. 2 months ago was our anniversary. Derek had claimed he needed to work late, then brought me flowers the next day with an elaborate apology. Those flowers were guilt. Or worse, a prop to maintain the illusion. Everything was contaminated now. Every memory, every moment, all of it suspect. Tom's first report arrived within a week, and it was worse than I imagined. Vanessa Monroe, 26, ambitious, and according to my surveillance, very much under the impression she's Derek's girlfriend, not his mistress, Tom said, showing me photos. She doesn't know he's still married. The images showed them at restaurants, walking hand in hand, kissing outside her apartment. Look at this. Tom pointed to a photo dated 3 months ago, Derek helping Vanessa move boxes into a new condo. The same weekend, he told me he was at a mandatory corporate retreat. This wasn't just an affair. Derek had built an entire second life. There's more, Tom continued, pulling out financial records. He's been moving money from your joint savings into a private account for 5 months. About $40,000 total. That money was for the house we were going to buy. The house where we'd raise children. He'd stolen our future to fund his betrayal. Then Tom showed me something that made my blood run cold, screenshots of messages between Derek and his mother, Carol. Carol. When are you finally leaving her? Vanessa is perfect for you. Derek, soon, Mom, I'm just waiting for the right moment to make it her fault. Carol. Good boy. Make sure she walks away with nothing. The conspiracy went deeper than Derek. His own mother had been coaching him on how to destroy me. That evening, against James's legal advice, I did something impulsive. I found Vanessa's Instagram and sent her a message. Hi, Vanessa. I'm Maya, Derek's wife. I think we should talk. The response came within minutes. Wife, what are you talking about? Vanessa and I met at a coffee shop the next day. She walked in looking young, polished, and utterly confused. When she saw me, recognition and horror crossed her face. He said he was divorced 2 years ago, she whispered, sliding into the seat across from me. He said his ex-wife lived in another state, and they barely spoke. I showed her our wedding photo, our lease agreement, texts from last week where Derek called me baby. Vanessa's face crumbled. Oh my God, I'm the other woman. I'm you. No, I said firmly, surprising myself with the compassion I felt. You're a victim too. He lied to both of us. For 2 hours, we compared timelines. Every business trip where Derek was supposedly alone, he was with her. Every late night he told me was work, he was with her. And every time he told her he needed space for stressful projects, he was with me. He told me he loved me. Vanessa sobbed. He talked about marriage, starting a family. How could I have been so stupid? You're not stupid, I said, though I was telling myself this too. He's a skilled liar. That's not our fault. Vanessa's pain turned quickly to rage. I left my previous relationship for him. I turned down a job in another city because he said we had a future here. What am I supposed to do now? An idea formed in my mind. Help me. Help me make sure he doesn't get away with this. Vanessa's eyes sharpened. What do you need? Over the next week, Vanessa became my unexpected ally. She provided text messages, emails, photos, evidence of Derek's systematic deception. She also revealed something crucial. Derek had promised her he'd get the apartment in the divorce because his wife would be reasonable. He'd been planning to move Vanessa into our home, into the space I'd decorated with 6 years of memories. Through Vanessa, I learned that Derek's boss, Mr. Harrison, had a strict policy against office relationships. Derek had lied to HR, claiming he was single. This information felt like ammunition, and I was building an arsenal. Derek sent the divorce papers with a settlement offer that was insulting. He proposed I take $15,000 and my personal belongings, while he kept the apartment, the car, and the remaining savings. He actually thinks you'll sign this, James said, incredulous. This is financial abuse on paper. I scheduled a meeting with Derek under the pretense of discussing the settlement peacefully. We met at a restaurant neutral ground. He arrived looking confident, almost smug. I'm glad you're being mature about this, Maya. I know change is hard, but it's for the best. I looked at him and felt nothing but disgust. Before we discuss anything, I said calmly, I want to understand something. When exactly did you stop loving me? Was it before or after you stole $40,000 from our joint account? His confident expression faltered. I didn't steal anything. That's my money too. Is that what you told Vanessa when you were furnishing her apartment with it? The blood drained from his face. You talked to Vanessa? Oh, we've become quite close, I said. It's amazing what you learn when you compare notes. Like how you told her you were divorced, how you promised her my apartment, how your mother has been helping you plan this betrayal for nearly a year. Derek's jaw clenched. What do you want, Maya? I want what I'm entitled to, I said, sliding a folder across the table. Inside were copies of everything, the financial transfers, the messages with his mother, photos of him with Vanessa timestamped during our marriage, proof of his lies to HR. I also have a message from Vanessa. She's done with you, by the way. Turns out women don't appreciate being lied to about existing wives. Derek's face turned red. You vindictive bitch. I knew you'd make this difficult. Difficult? I laughed. Derek, I'm making this fair. You get to keep your job barely. Since HR will be interested in your relationship disclosures and I get what I'm legally entitled to. 50% of assets acquired during marriage, which thanks to James's excellent accounting, is far more than your insulting $15,000 offer. My mother was right about you, Derek hissed. You're cold and calculating. The irony wasn't lost on me. Your mother is going to be very disappointed when she realizes her manipulation didn't work. See you in court, Derek. The next 3 months were brutal. Derek fought the settlement viciously, his lawyer arguing that I was exaggerating the affair's impact and that the financial transfer was management, not theft. But James was better. In court, we presented everything, the timeline of deception, the financial manipulation, witness statements from Rachel, and the text messages with Carol explicitly discussing how to make me walk away with nothing. Judge Patricia Moore, a stern woman in her 60s, was not impressed. Mr. Chen, she said after reviewing the evidence, you orchestrated a situation designed to emotionally manipulate your wife into leaving so you could avoid a fair settlement. This court does not reward such behavior. The final settlement gave me 60% of our shared assets, including forcing the sale of the apartment, plus Derek had to pay my legal fees and return the $40,000. But the real karma wasn't financial. 2 weeks after court, Derek was fired from his job. Not because of the affair, though HR did reprimand him, but because he'd become so distracted by the divorce that he botched a major client presentation. Mr. Harrison had no patience for incompetence. Vanessa had moved on quickly, dating a man from her gym who was honest and available. What a concept, as she texted me. Carol stopped speaking to Derek after he asked her for money to cover his legal fees. Apparently, her support only extended to manipulation, not financial assistance. She'd discovered Derek had been lying to her too about Vanessa's age, her job, the stability of their relationship. Even manipulators don't like being manipulated. Through Sophie's therapy sessions, I learned something crucial. I had been complicit in my own diminishment, not in Derek's betrayal that was entirely on him, but in making myself smaller for years, in accepting late nights without question, in ignoring red flags because confrontation felt uncomfortable. 6 months after that Friday night, I moved into a small but beautiful apartment. My apartment paid for with my settlement and aggressive freelance work. Lily helped me decorate. James helped me set up new financial accounts with better protections. To new beginnings, Lily toasted with champagne. And to never shrinking yourself for anyone again, I added. My design career was flourishing. Without Derek's dismissals of my work as just freelancing or his demands that dinner be ready by 7, I'd landed 3 major clients, including a tech startup that loved my fresh perspective. You seem different, Rachel observed during coffee. More confident. I was different. The Maya, who'd been desperate for her husband's approval, was gone. In her place was someone who'd learned that self-worth can't be outsourced to another person's opinion. Sophie and I still met weekly, unpacking not just Derek's trauma but patterns from my entire life, always trying to be good enough. Always afraid to demand what I deserved. What you're experiencing is post-traumatic growth, Sophie explained. The trauma didn't make you stronger. You were always strong. It just forced you to recognize it. I started dating again, casually. Nothing serious, just remembering what it felt like to be pursued, appreciated, chosen. One man asked about my divorce on our second date. My ex-husband beat me to leaving, I said simply. Best thing he ever did for me. It was true. If Derek hadn't been so cruel that night, I might have stayed years longer, growing smaller until there was nothing left of me. I ran into Derek exactly 1 year after our divorce was finalized. It was at an industry networking event I almost didn't attend. He looked different, older, tired. The confidence that once drew me to him replaced by something diminished. Maya, he said, approaching cautiously. You look great. I did look great. I was wearing a dress I'd designed myself. My hair styled in a way Derek once said was too bold. My shoulders back with confidence I'd earned. Thank you, I said simply. There was an awkward pause. I owe you an apology, Derek said quietly. What I did? How I treated you? It was cruel. Unforgivable, really. I waited, saying nothing. I was a coward, he continued. I didn't know how to tell you I was unhappy, so I burned everything down. Made you the villain in a story where I was the one who betrayed you. Part of me had waited a year for this apology. But now that it came, I realized I didn't need it. My healing had happened despite him, without him, in the space he'd left behind. I appreciate you saying that, I finally replied. I hope you've learned from it. I have, he said. Too late for us, but I have. There was sadness in his eyes, regret. The kind that comes when you realize you destroyed something valuable for something temporary. Vanessa had only lasted 3 months after learning about me. Carol was estranged from him, after his deceptions extended to family. He'd lost his job, his apartment, his comfortable life, but more than that, he'd lost his integrity. And once that's gone, rebuilding is much harder. I should go. My boyfriend is waiting. Of course, Derek nodded. I really am sorry, Maya, for everything. As I walked away, I felt the final thread connecting us. Snap not with pain, but with release. Derek had beaten me to leaving, yes, but in doing so, he'd freed me from a marriage that was killing me slowly, from a version of myself that was too small, too accommodating, too afraid to demand better. At the exit, James and Lily were waiting. My boyfriend was fictional, a white lie for closure. How'd it go? Lily asked. Perfect, I said, linking my arms through both of theirs. Absolutely perfect. The end.